Have you ever felt that the deeper you think, the further away you drift from everyone else? That the more clearly you see the patterns of life, the less people want to hear your voice? It's not your imagination. Throughout history, societies have feared those who think too deeply. Not because they are always wrong, but because they bring uncomfortable truths into the light. Socrates was forced to drink poison, accused of corrupting the youth. Galileo was silenced for daring to look at the stars and suggest the earth was not the center of everything. Nietzsche was dismissed as mad. Hannah Arendt was attacked for analyzing evil with too much clarity. The world has never been kind to those who think differently. And yet, time and time again, it is the deep thinkers who end up shaping the future. But why does this happen? Why does society turn away from those who see further, who question deeper, who refuse to simply accept? The answer lies not in history books alone, but in human psychology itself. When you stand next to someone physically strong, you don't necessarily feel threatened. You might even admire their strength. When you meet someone wealthy, envy might spark, but you don't feel personally diminished. But when you encounter someone who thinks with unusual clarity, something strange happens. Their presence alone reflects your own limitations. Psychologists sometimes call this the mirror effect, the idea that deep thinkers force us to confront what we'd rather not see in ourselves. This is why a thinker can say very little, yet still make others uneasy. Their silence itself feels like judgment. Their questions, even if innocent, can shake the foundations of belief. Arthur Schopenhauer once suggested that intelligence can feel like a curse, that the more one perceives reality as it is, the more isolated one becomes. And yet, isolation is not the only cost, because society does not simply ignore thinkers. It often resists them. Human beings are social creatures. We survive through belonging, through shared traditions, through the comfort of common narratives. The deep thinker threatens this harmony. Not by violence, not by force, but by asking questions that unravel the stories a community tells itself. Why do we believe this? What if the truth is different? What if we are wrong? Questions like these sound harmless, but they're dangerous. They shake the foundations of certainty. Uncertainty is what most people cling to in a chaotic world. When someone introduces doubt, they introduce fear. And when fear spreads, society lashes back. That is why philosophers, inventors, and visionaries are so often ridiculed, silenced, or cast out. Not because they lack wisdom, but because they reveal too much. Imagine walking through life as if everyone around you is watching a play, completely absorbed in the performance. They cheer, they cry, they believe the story unfolding before them, but you, somehow, see the stage lights, the props, the wires pulling the curtains. You know it's just a play. Now imagine trying to tell the audience what you see. Most will not thank you. They will hate you for ruining the illusion. They will call you arrogant, delusional, or even dangerous. This is the life of a deep thinker. To see the strings behind the curtain. To live in a world where the illusions of others no longer satisfy. Nietzsche once wrote that those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. The thinker hears music others do not. And so they dance alone. History gives us endless reminders of this cycle. Socrates asked questions so relentlessly that Athens condemned him. Galileo built a telescope and was silenced by the church. Spinoza was excommunicated for daring to challenge religious dogma. Tesla was mocked and abandoned while building the foundations of modern electricity. Simone Weil starved herself in solidarity with the suffering while being dismissed as eccentric. Each of these figures saw beyond the horizon of their time, and each was rejected in their own way. Only later did the world catch up. Only later were their ideas celebrated. This is the cruel paradox of deep thought. It is rarely loved in its own age, but this is not only about great philosophers or scientists. It is about anyone who dares to think differently, even in small ways. Have you ever noticed that when you share an insight, something about human behavior or the meaning of life, people sometimes pull away? They change the subject. They laugh awkwardly. They tell you you're thinking too much. This isn't just dismissal. It's discomfort because deep thought challenges the unspoken rules of conversation. It introduces depth where most people seek comfort. It is easier to talk about the weather, or sports, or gossip, than to discuss mortality, morality, or the purpose of existence, and so the thinker, even in everyday life, finds themselves alone. If thinkers of the past faced exile or silence, thinkers today face something more subtle but just as powerful: distraction. We live in a time where endless entertainment is available at a swipe. Opinions are plentiful, but wisdom is rare. Outrage spreads faster than reason. In such an environment, deep thinking feels almost alien. To pause, to reflect, to ask why when everyone else is asking what's trending. Today's society doesn't need to silence thinkers with poison or prisons. All it has to do is drown them in noise, and yet, even here, the same discomfort remains. The deep thinker on social media is often mocked, ignored, or attacked, not because they are wrong, but because they refuse to join the chorus. Living as a deep thinker comes with a cost. Solitude becomes familiar. Friendships feel rare. Conversations often feel shallow. There is a risk of cynicism, of despair, of becoming detached from the world altogether. But there is also a strange gift hidden in this burden. Because solitude can also become a source of strength, the philosopher Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by power and politics, wrote to himself in solitude. His meditations were never meant for an audience, but for survival, for reminding himself of what truly mattered. Solitude allowed him clarity. Solitude allowed him resilience. The same can be true today. The loneliness of deep thought does not have to be an exile. It can become a refuge. It's true that deep thinkers are often isolated. But it is not true that they are always alone. Throughout history, even the most misunderstood minds found companions. Socrates had Plato, Nietzsche had Lou Salome. For a time, Einstein exchanged letters with other scientists who understood his vision. The world may not understand the thinker, but somewhere there are others who do. Finding these connections requires patience, courage, and persistence. But when they come, they are profound. Because a single conversation with someone who truly understands can be worth more than 100 shallow exchanges. So how can one live as a deep thinker in today's world? First, accept solitude as part of the path. Do not see it as failure, but as training. Time alone sharpens thought. Second, learn to communicate with patience. Many people resist ideas not because they cannot understand, but because they fear what those ideas might change. Speak gently. Introduce questions slowly. Third, seek communities, even small ones, where thought is valued. It could be through books, discussions, philosophy groups, or even hidden corners of the internet. And finally, remember that the world has always resisted its thinkers. You are part of a long tradition, not of defeat, but of persistence. So let me ask you again, have you ever felt that the deeper you think, the more isolated you become? If you have, you are not alone. You stand among the philosophers, the visionaries, the dreamers who walked this path before you. Yes, the world may resist you. Yes, people may turn away. But history shows us something important. The ideas that disturb the present often shape the future. Your thoughts matter, even if they are not welcome today. To think deeply is to carry both a burden and a gift. It is to walk through life seeing what others cannot or will not, and while it may be lonely at times, it is also extraordinary because in the end, it is not comfort that changes the world. It is clarity. It is courage. It is the willingness to think, and perhaps, just perhaps, the loneliness of today is the price of the wisdom that tomorrow will celebrate.